What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back as we're going to proceed into the round of 16 here for the ESL NA, or the Americas. Can't say NA. There's actually a Mexico team here. But number 13, Mr. Shane Gucher in attendance there, rocking out with his Day 9 TV shirt. Just, there you go, buddy. Maybe some of the Day Nights will be interested in that. But
I wish.
Game number 1, you've now seen the Rising Taquitos in full force, my friend. How'd you like it?
I was impressed, man. You've been hyping up their play quite a bit.
I have.
And I was very, very impressed. Impressed, not impressed. Impressed. Sorry. Kiefer's is
impressed
totally
and blessed. Impressed.
Yes, exactly. I was blessed to be able to see their play. And definitely going to be keeping an eye on them as they get further into the bracket. They're actually being casted over on Haas's channel right now, guys. So if you guys want to watch, maybe see some more Lost Viking play, definitely go check out the other stream that's going on. I'll get someone to link it in there here in chat in just a moment. But the next game we're going to be casting is between the Globetrotters and Barrel Boys. Now the chat's going to explode with nothing but Barrel Boys.
I love the Barrel Boys like emotes that keep going out.
I'm surprised by how popular of a team they became so quickly, man. Maybe that was a marketing ploy done by either Blinks or McIntyre. Maybe they're marketing experts or something like that, and I had no idea because all of a sudden I see Barrel Boys constantly in chat all the time. So good for them. But they've been a very successful team. They definitely have been. I mean, just a couple. I feel like maybe not even a month ago they were considered a little bit of a dark horse coming into tournaments, but they have been, showing a lot of success, showing that they're definitely a big contending team right now. And now they're going to have to go up against a rather new team, Globetrotters, who did pretty damn well in the Community Cup this Friday. I think they got second place.
I believe they did.
Yes. So kind of the new kid versus a middle-aged kid, if you will, going on right now. But the map is going to be Dragonshire. The bans are underway right now. Globetrotters is going to have first ban, first pick. And with that first ban, they're going to ban out an Illidan.
Now, statistics will say Nazebo, Rhaegar, or Sergeant Hammer, but the Barrel Boys might know something that we don't, or perhaps they got their intel wrong. This isn't the Rising Taquitos, but it is the Globetrotters, and the Globetrotters are actually going to have the Vikings as a deny pick to them. So this will actually leave us quite a bit of room and flexibility for some of the comps to come out. It is Dragonshire. Illidan is banned. Sergeant Hammer is extremely strong on this map. So is Zagara with those big ranged siege kind of heroes. But Rhaegar is also left on the table, and he's basically like the #1 contention when it comes to the supports. So I suspect it'll be a Sergeant Hammer or Rhaegar.
I agree with you there. Sergeant Hammer, Rhaegar, or potentially, I was just about to say Vala. Rah, so quick. So there's the Vala first pick up, which is, she's always been a first pick up in there with the aforementioned heroes you just talked about. Now, what am I going to see out of Barrel Boys here? There's the ETC, there's the Witch Doctor Vala, there's Tassadar if they want to get hands on Tassadar. Has definitely been going up into the priority of teams. And of course, the Sergeant Hammer on Dragonshire. She's always been very strong on Dragonshire. Not so much anymore because of the Bullhead nerf that she received, but she's still a very, very potent hero, very strong hero, specifically on Dragonshire. And there it is, the Tassadar and the Sergeant Hammer. So very strong draft, very strong backline for Barrel Boys already.
Yeah, Nexus Globetrotters, I guess, weren't so impressed, or impressed, I suppose. With one of those picks, as they did go with the Vala first. But I mean, if you're going to leave two of the strongest heroes in the game open, I mean, with that Sergeant Hammer, with that Tassadar, if we get an Uther and an ETC, Barrel Boys are going to be looking phenomenal shape. And it's up to the Globetrotters right now to try to take away some of those tools. I fully expect this time to see a Rhaegar and very likely either a Stitches or that ETC. But Globetrotters are on some other kind of plane of thinking right now, because I cannot call anything on their team.
Well, they're a relatively new team, so we aren't as adaptive to their drafting style as the other teams that we know. But it seems like the trend is whenever you can get a Nazebo and Malfurion together, you get a Nazebo and Malfurion together. The past 3 or 4 tournaments that I've casted, it's almost always the Nazebo Malfurion together. They obviously have a lot of synergy together. In lane, it's a very, very strong lane. The Innervate on Witch Doctor can make him spam his abilities. Obviously, Root followed up by Zombie Wall is a great combination. Again, making him very threatening lane. Very threatening lane duo that you see quite often. It also, just a Ravenous Spirit on top of the Malfurion Roots. And also that Malfurion Tranquility is an effective tool at help mitigating with Ravenous Spirit. So now Barrel Boys aren't going to be able to get their hands on that. So I like the Zebo Malfurion pickup here. But again, ETC is still lined up for Barrel Boys, man. And you're right. They could pick up an ETC Uther right here and have an incredibly just overall strong team.
Chat brings up a good point. We just saw Horse Pants, the legendary Vikings. I forgot that the Globetrotters actually has Bella Morte, the other legendary
That's right.
Viking.
I forgot.
Thank you, Falataran, so much. So that is why we see that Viking ban out. But Barrel Boys will continue powering forward. Uther as a great setup, a great counter initiate, as well as just a great support overall as a pick. Goes very well into Protect the Hammer comp and taking away the stitches as well. There's going to be no hook pressure for this back-end DPS. Now, I was looking to see if Globetrotters were actually going to go for a Tyrande, because a Tyrande with the Malfurion and just that tank busting mentality to throw a bone to Vala could have actually went out really well, but their front end is going to be that Diablo, and it looks like we're going to possibly set up for a Wombo here with the Zeratul.
Yeah, the Void Prison into Apocalypse is such a very, very potent combination. A Wombo combo of days of old, when the very first competitive tournaments, it was like Zeratul, Diablo, and Gazlo, and Falstad, where they would just do these magnificently wonderful, glorious Wombo combos. I miss those days, but obviously teams have improved their positioning exponentially since then, and we don't see that so much more. Not those all-in Wombo combos, but a lot of synergy for Globetrotters. Definitely a lot of potential for a massive amount of AoE damage. So I like their draft quite a bit, and they have a lot of displacement as well, with Diablo obviously being a solid initiator, Shadow Charge, and dunking him over his shoulder. You follow that up, almost utilizing it like the Zeratul Stitches of old, where you'd use Stitches as a you would hook Gorge someone out of the fight, then Void Prison, essentially make it a 2 or 3 v5 and just win the fight from there. So they have the potential for that. But Barrel Boys last pick in the Tyron, so they have they apparently don't like assassins. So all 3 of their backliners are either a support or specialist.
But they're going to use the Hunter's Mark here with the Archon, with that Sergeant Hammered, and the Stun Lock to just burn someone down out of this.
Yeah.
In terms of going back and forth, I have seen similar comps come out from Barrel Boys before, where it's just literally that one DPS in the back. But with the Tyrande coming into that as well, she can really put up some big numbers. Curious to see if we are going to go for a Ranger's Mark level 1, or if it'll be more of a Lunar Blaze build, or sorry, a Lunar Flare build, or if it's going to be a few Owls into it as well. Globetrotters, as we're going to get into the game here, we have seen this Wombo before, you and I, Mr. Shane. The Diablo, the Zeratul, and the Ravenous coming out from Mr. Nazeebo. Any combination of ults right there between the Apocalypse and the Spooky Orb, or the Void Prison, as that's what Tastos apparently likes to call it. That's just a great setup for that Ravenous.
Yeah,
so it
absolutely.
could go either way. I'm unsure if we're going to see the complete 3-step Wombo. I mean, the Lightning Breath is just such a huge utility on this little map. But here we are. First game of the day of the Globes and of the Barrels. Kind of hard to tell who's going to be taking it home from draft.
Oh no.
Oh no,
John.
No.
I got kicked out of the lobby before they went in the game.
What? You're kidding me?
Yeah.
You're not here?
Nope.
I can't talk to them.
That's okay.
Hi, teams. No, I don't think they could. Shane, how did this happen?
I don't know. It just all of a sudden I got kicked out of the lobby.
5, 4.
You want to try messaging keepers and see if they quickly reset? Otherwise, I'm gonna be throwing you some bones, and that's about it.
Hey, no problem, man. I can cast with the 2. I can cast with a 2-minute delay.
Okay. Well, let's. Okay, you've really thrown off my momentum a little bit. Left-hand side.
Sorry.
Left-hand side is going to be the Globetrotter. Sorry, it's going to be. Wow. See, I'm just not here anymore, Shane.
It's all good. It's all good, man.
Who the hell's even on the Barrel Boys? There we go. Barrel Boys doing the party lane into the bottom lane. They are your blue, and that's McIntyre, Airho, Trummel, Kionda, and Blanks. Flip side though, Anxiety Log, Teebs, Cossacks. It's going to be the switch there for Keepers, and Bella Morte are going to be making up your Globetrotters here on Dragonshire. And nobody's saying anything in game, so I'm assuming you can't get a hold of them.
I'm messaging them both, but obviously if they ended up not wanting to redo the match, then I guess you might have to do a little bit of a solo cast here, Sean.
That's all right. I'll throw you a bone in terms of some questions coming back and forth. Shane, you really put me in a weird spot here, but...
Hey, you're good, man. Keep it on your toes. Keep it on your toes, Sean.
Well, the cast and a half.
Yes.
Cast and a halfer. Yeah, it's pretty fun. So Stitches is up top against the Zeratul. It's not going to be a Zeratul roam because it is the 3-man static lane here from the Diablo. the Nazeebo as well as the Malfurion. So far, they are keeping Trummel at bay with that Sergeant Hammer. Not really a lot of early game push, but we also now are going to have our tributes, our shrines ready to go. Will actually just be a bit of a do-si-do. Right now, however, Blue is going to be taking quick control of both of them. Will Bellamorte, who's now rotated into the mid, allow McIntyre to actually pick that up? Evidence says no, but nobody else is actually moving to kind of lend a hand so far.
So the game is underway for the stream right now. So I'm just getting into the match.
Not very useful, Shane. Not very useful.
That's okay. That's okay. So there, we'll talk about the draft a little bit. What I like about the Tyron is that they're going to be able to burn through that Diablo. Because, I mean, Diablo's their only frontliner, right? And obviously he's a good frontliner. He has intrinsically has a very high HP pool. But the thing with Diablo is once he initiates and commits to a team fight, then he's in. He's all in. He's not like an ETC where he can power slide out. He's not like a Stitches who can, you know, heal him up with his E and walk away, or someone with Putrid Bile or anything like that. The chat is exploding.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I really like the Tyron pick, the last pick, because Diablo's going to charge in, and as I mentioned, once he charges in, he's committed to that initiation, and he can absolutely get torn apart with a Hunter's Mark on top of a right click from a Sergeant Hammer, and obviously getting stunned up and initiated on by Tyron. That Diablo is going to have to be really, really careful about his initiations, not getting caught out of position, and not just making bad decisions and initiating or trying to go in on a team fight where he'll just get blown up. Especially because Malfurion is not known for his burst healing. He has incredible sustain through life seed at level 16. Obviously Tranquility, he's able to sustain heroes with Innervate and with Regrowth. But his burst healing is very negligible. So they really have to be careful of just their Diablo getting absolutely torn apart in the front lines before they can accomplish much of anything in these team fights.
I think you've been talking long enough that you're probably going to see that Diablo death come up fairly soon on your end with that 2-minute delay. But it was almost weird that you're like, man, he can totally get torn apart and he dies. That was really good on you, Mr. Futuristic Shane. Definitely those skills right there. Dragon did go the way of the Barrow Boys. They got a few towers worth of damage, but it is still only that 1 kill on the board. I'm looking for a little bit more pressure on top of Cossacks into the bottom, but it is about 2 towers worth that they got out of that 3-minute or so Dragon. Everything's going to be resetting a little bit. It is a level advantage going the way right now of the Barrels with only that 1 kill. But in terms of talents, it is the Ranger's Mark from Tyrander earlier on.
Okay.
So lowering out that cooldown means that they're going to be looking to tank bust as much as they can with that Sergeant Hammer.
So usually the go-to one, at least for North America, is the Piercing with the Owl. Then at level 16, you get the Ranger, and you can just put up some absurd number, spamming the Owl, and it does an absurd amount of damage. It's a very effective tool. And it's very effective on this map specifically because you know that people are going to be on the shrines, either on the Dragon itself in middle or in the polar regions, the North and South shrine. So, excuse me. So I actually feel like the Piercing and Ranger build might be a little bit better, but we still, even with the Hunter's Mark at level 1 talent, there's a good possibility we're still going to see a Ranger at level 16. It's just going to be single target instead of AoE.
Well, yeah, we're gonna. I've been seeing a lot again with the Lunar Flare build, that 13 and 16 Shooting Star and Lunar Blaze. It's a heck of a big wombo combo. But Keepers right now, he came in there with that overpower, tried to do some big fancy work on top of Kionda, and basically just got forced right back out of the fight. Everybody is now trying to collapse on top of Trummel, who's getting a little bit low. He's finally going to thrusters out, but Lynx is on the front line. The Uther Ghost is now going to be in attendance. Will stun up Keepers and save out Trummel for now. But it was not really the DPS we were looking for there from the Barrels. They did get level 10 on the back of it, so I'm going to tell you the heroics here, Shane. It's going to be Archon, Putrid Bile, Divine Storm, Napalm Strike, and Starfall.
I like the Putrid Bile because it's just compounding the fact that Diablo is a very commit-heavy initiating hero. And now if he commits into a bad position or initiates into a bad position, his ability to get away is going to be hindered even more the moment that Putrid Bile is laid down. So I like the Putrid Bile pickup. I feel like Gorge wouldn't be a very effective tool. Putrid Bile is definitely going to bring a lot more to the table to smash than Gorge.
Yeah, and they're going to be looking for that zone control. I mean, it's the Diablo and the Zerator for sure going to be suffering out of that. There goes Diablo as well into the bottom lane, getting body blocked, trying to take the shrine. Kionda, Trummel, and Blinks, I mean, they got this Diablo's number. He both kills for the Barrels, but a little bit more of a skirmish here mid, Mr. Shane. It is going to be Anxiety Lull. Looks like he's going to be okay for now, but we do got, oh, the hook and the Archon. It's going to be enough to grab the kill on top of Vala. Blink's holding down the mid, but unfortunately not much he could have done for his, well, not his teammates, but for that kill. And Trummel's actually going to get forced out of the bottom because we got some Merc pressure there. And this might be some pressure for Red to get a Dragon, but they actually don't have top, and Bellamorte's not going for it either. Instead, it's actually going to be Malfurion. This whole party lane bottom mentality, Shane, is where all of the kills have been so far.
Yep, the good old 3 mercenary camp lanes that we see put so much emphasis on, and a good majority of the time maps are dictated by either the objective configuration or the mercenary positioning as well, and that's why we see this 3v3 sort of dealio go on so often in this map, because it's such an important lane. And on the other side of that coin, contrasting to that point I was making, is when you know you have a good 3v3 lane to deal with whatever the enemy team is going to throw at you, you also have to know that you have a safe top lane solo laner and mid laner as well.
I'm gonna have to cut you off there. Here comes the wombo. It's the Zeratul into the Apocalypse, and the perfect Ravenous on the back of all of that. Zeratul goes down in a very blaze of glory, and it is actually going to be now the retreat there for Blink. There goes Diablo as the return. Arrow not looking so hot, but he does get off one last hook. Anxiety gets auto-attacked by the Dragon, and it was such a perfect initiation here from the Globetrotters, but they didn't have the coordinated burst to take down anybody. And it looks like they have now dropped down 3 teammates. And, you know, Blink's, McIntyre, the healing wards, Kiyonda, like, the triple support is really strong for this Protect the Hammer comp. And they go killless in that and pick up a board.
Playing to the strengths of it, man. They were able to get the, they were able to get their heroics first, pick up a dragon. It's just going very well for them here into the mid game. Their late game situation is looking phenomenal as well. Anytime you have a Tassadar, obviously that's always very, very good. Late game hooks are a nightmare. If he goes with Fishing Hook at level 16, and when respawn timers start hitting to the point where they're a minute plus, that one hook into a pickoff, that's just a dead nerd, and that can just win you the game outright. So I really like the late game situation for Barrel Boys as well. The late game for Globetrotters, it's pretty okay. Ravenous Spirit at level 20 is phenomenal, but they don't really get a big power burst at level 20 compared to the one that Barrel Boys gets.
Right, yeah. And it is actually going to be Lunar Blaze at 13 here from the Tyrande. So it's no more Owls. Owls are slowly starting to get phased out. I'm fully expecting to see a Shooting Star at level 16, which refunds the mana and does 50% more damage. That plus a Rewind could be some extreme burst and lockdown. It's like the old Critterize combo that we just really don't see anymore since Brightwing is really out of the picture. But in terms of levels 15, 14, Mr. Shane, it is still the lead here for the Barrel Boys. They are about halfway there to the 16 talent tier, and it doesn't look like either team's really super keen on fighting as of yet.
Yeah, they're probably going to play, Globetrotters is probably just going to play defensive, soak, get level 16, and then try to find a window of opportunity from there. That's probably exactly what they're going to do here. But you're right, getting the Lunar Blaze at level 16 is just continuing to play among the
I'm sorry, Shane, yeah, but now Furion, he actually just gets insta-give on the back of all this. It is going to be the one-man Zeratul Void Prison just before he drops, but the 1-2-3 hat trick is achieved, and once more the triple support is just defeating this Wombo from the Nexus Globetrotters. I mean, we've seen them before. They're doing trick shots. They're looking good on the court, but right now they are just getting dunked really heavily at 10 kills to 1, Shane.
I feel like the big disadvantage that they have is that they do have a significant amount of AoE damage. Obviously, a multi-shot Vala, a Ravenous Spirit, the AoE damage that comes from Zeratul with his cleave and whatnot. Their single target damage is a little bit lacking. They might have gone a little bit overboard with AoE damage, and because of that, the Uther, who doesn't have the best AoE healing capabilities in the world, but if they're not able to take at least 1 or 2 people down whenever they do land a successful wombo combo like you just saw, then they just run out of gas and they get turned around on, which is exactly what it sounds like happening.
Yeah, I mean, 17 to 15, we do got those 16 talent tiers. Diablo actually gets caught in the little U-horn, or the horseshoe there in the... I don't actually know what I would actually call that. So I'm going to call it the horseshoe. The horseshoe. He gets caught in it. He's a bigger character model, and Erho was just able to kind of take him to the town. Diablo's dead, does not have his souls ready to go, and we do got the 16 hype. It is actually Fishing Hook, believe it or not, and there is the Shooting Star as well from Trummel. So Fishing Hook, it's a very varied build coming out of Stitches. We've seen a lot of slam Stitches in the last 2 days or so, but this is definitely a little bit more tanky. He has the amp healing, the tenderizer, the relentless, and now the fishing hook. He's continually looking for a hook. Fortunately, nobody's biting.
Yep, no fishing tonight. It's unfortunate. I guess he'll not have to go to the sushi bar later, man, but that's for a later time. But it's just, I feel like the big issue, as I mentioned, is they don't have enough single target damage. As I'm watching here with a little bit of delay, and that's exactly what's happening, man. They aren't able to get down the Tassadar, and they're not able to get down the hammer, and just absolutely get turned around.
Yeah, it's just not happening, man. Like, I'm just watching this next round of Wombo, and on the back of all this, Trummel is coming out almost full health. McIntyre is actually not looking so low, and we do achieve 2 kills, but there it is. There's the equalizer. 2 kills for 2. Not entirely too sure Blinks. Yeah, he's just going to get the edge of those Nikes going, and he's going to be out of that zombie donut. So a 2 for 2 trade after that Wombo. We did get the 16 talent tier just at the very beginning of that fight, but you know, you've been saying it. There's no single target damage. They actually were able to catch up to Randa, but other than that, Stitches got caught in the crossfire, and they still weren't able to take a kill lead on it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're behind a level or 2, even trades is going to go in your favor.
Hello, Morte! No, he couldn't do it! He actually ambushed Trummel at one of the creep camps and tried to do the old-fashioned creep jack, but it didn't happen, and he just ran out of tricks, couldn't get the last hit.
That's the only thing I can think of right now. Anytime you're behind, you're in a position where you're behind by a level or 2 or anything past that, trading evenly is always going to go into your hands, just because of the way experience works and how the levels scale as the game goes on. So it's okay that they traded evenly, but that's just doing a little bit of damage control. That's going to mitigate it a little bit, but for them to get back into this game and have any hope of winning it, they have to do more than even exchange. It's going to help them with that. They're helping pad the disadvantage that they have a little bit, so it might be able to enable them to get a good exchange later on. But right now, with the advantage that Barrel Boys has, like I said, they get such a huge power spike at level 20 compared to what Globetrotters gets at level 20, that if they don't do something before level 20 or right around it, that they're going to be they're just they're digging their own grave right now.
19 to 17, Mr. Shane. We're getting very close to that big break point. Bella Morte is really going to be trying to come in here. Trummel pops out that first aid. He is really separated out from the rest of his team, but Vala gets actually hooked into the horseshoe once more. That was the Void Prison and the Apocalypse, but there's really no follow-up with Vala dead, and the Zeratul had already popped out the combo on top of Trummel, and that is probably going to be game. The Nikes forward. Bella Morte is going to survive. We had a hook there on top of Cossacks, though, and it's just Keepers and the Zeratul here to defend, and Bella Morte has to hit the fountain because he's not going to be surviving this. The keep is down. 3 kills later, Trummel inching forward with that hover seed, and they're on the core, Shane. They're looking for it. Keepers with the last-ditch defense, but all he can do is just really push Tyrande around, and even then, triple support is negating anything he can do damage-wise. Bella Morte's going to jump in. He's looking for some hits, but it's going to be it, and that is GG as the Globetrotters go home in defeat here in the ESL Go4Heroes Americas Cup number 13.
What a great game that was.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to join me for it.
That was wonderful. I have no idea what happened. I'm looking at the log, and it said I joined the lobby, and then immediately got kicked out, and I didn't realize it because I never turned to look. I figured when I joined the lobby, then I'm in the lobby. But I guess there was some weird bug where I didn't join after all or something like that. So I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, if my casting was a little bit,
we salvaged it, bro.
Stale and old, if you will.
It could have went worse.
But that's not going to happen next time. I'll just make sure that I'm actually in the lobby before the game goes live. But well done by Barrel Boys. They definitely showed that they're the veteran team, showing off why they're considered one of the top teams right now. They're, they've been getting deep into tournaments consistently, every tournament you can think of, and I'm excited to see how they do this weekend right now, Sean. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, they move on into round of 8, which is going to be the quarterfinals. Going to take a quick look here at the brackets. Evil Geniuses sitting there looking pretty. They're going to be facing off against the winner of Lunatic and Taquitos. I believe Cloud9 Vortex is just advanced. Oh, Happy Fairy Dragons actually did check in today. That's going to be a fantastic game against Wildfire. I'm curious to see who wins that. If Happy Fairy Dragons win, I want to cover them next. 8 p.m. and E-Gamers are still actually going on. Magikarp and Tempest, which is, I think, a repeat match from Friday, to be honest. You Forced My Hand and Primeval still going at it. And, of course, the Barrel Boys will face off against the winners of that match. So still lots of great heroes to be had.
Yes,
best of
very
ones
much so.
to the finals. But if I can get the Happy Fairy Dragons, I want to show you and the stream their kind of style of play because it is fantastic to watch. They signed up last week. They did not check in. I'm glad to see them here today. Regardless, when we return, we're going to make sure that Shane doesn't hit exit buttons by accident, and we will have our next game in the quarterfinals of the ESL Americas Cup number 13. We'll see you guys in a few.